Today, I'm joined by David Gerald. David is the founder, president, and CEO of Securities Investors Association Singapore, or short, SIAS. This episode focuses on spotting investment scams. David shares with us some of the investment scams he has witnessed over time and why the adage, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, holds weight when it comes to spotting investment scams. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, be sure to subscribe and consider leaving us a review and sharing it with your friends. Welcome to another episode of In Your Best Interest, your personal finance podcast. I'm your host, Philipp Müller, and today I'm looking forward to a discussion around spotting investment scams. We all have heard of horror stories before where people are being taken advantage of by con artists, and this does not only happen on the streets, but also in the personal finance and investment space, unfortunately. So today I have on the show David Gerald. He's been at the helm as founder, president, and CEO of Securities Investors Association Singapore, or short, SIAS. SIAS, the voice of retail investors in Singapore, actively promotes investor education at all levels in the community, investor rights, and corporate governance standards. Mr. Gerald is heralded as a champion of corporate governance and investor rights in Southeast Asia. And for this reason, Forbes Global featured him on their global cover page. He's regularly sought after for his thought leadership by international and local broadcasts, as well as print agencies. Mr. Gerald received the Special Achievement Award by Singapore Exchange, SGX, in 2009 for championing individual investors' interests, advocating good corporate governance, and investor education. Mr. Gerald, it's very, very much a pleasure to have you on the show today.
My pleasure too.
It's a impressive background, and again, as I mentioned before we started recording, we were part of SIS Investor Week a couple of years back. So I kind of know what you're doing there and how you're out in the community, raising awareness and helping everyday investors do better. So I do have to ask, before I get into the topic, one question is, I did a little bit of research and I heard and I read about you and on your LinkedIn as well, and it says you used to be a criminal lawyer.
That's right.
How did you come about then founding SIS in 1999? How did you make that switch?
Okay, I very much like to be within the four walls of a courtroom. I've been a judge, I've been a prosecutor, I've been a defense counsel. But in 1998, September, Mahathir, Dr. Mahathir of Malaysia, came about to freeze. They decided to freeze 172,000 Singaporeans' asset in 112 companies, investments in 112 companies in Malaysia. They were facing the Asian financial crisis and they were in dire need of money. They couldn't raise a loan from Singapore, so they decided to freeze our, investments. And then private companies were asked to settle this. And they were asking for 52 cents per dollar to get back our shares. So for 9 months there was a stalemate, and the government of Singapore was told that Mahathir wants to talk to the small investors directly, because if he says we are the cause of his stock market woes, collapse of their stock market. So no one put up their hand, and I have been used to forming associations and clubs in Singapore, and I have been active leading community groups. I decided then to put up my hand and said, okay, although I know little or nothing about stock market, I will gather all of you together, form a association called the Securities Investors Association of Singapore, SIAS, which acronym was also, humorously known as Silly Investors Always Suffer.
I haven't heard this yet.
And indeed, we were silly because we were investing in Malaysia without knowing anything about the company, the political situation, the governance, and the strategies there. And so I decided, no, look, these guys got to be changing their mindset. And therefore, SIS should stand for Smart Investors Always Succeed. So how to make them smart investors? Through education and information. So we, at first, I had to resolve the club issue. So that took me 9 months to resolve it by going to various media, international media, Dow Jones, Asian Wall Street Journal, then BBC, Bloomberg, CNBC, CNN. I used to appear in all these to tell the world what Malaysia has done to us small people,
Yeah.
and that we are the victims and we have put money in Malaysia instead of protecting us. So finally, a thought came to me, and that is Malaysia is a signatory to WTO, where they have agreed to treat local and foreign investors equally, and they will not discriminate. So our government, Singapore government, agreed, and decided to go to WTO. So they announced, and then we had a huge, we used to have a lot of dialogue sessions with these club. We call them the club investors because they were investing through a counter called CLOB club.
Mm.
And suddenly, within a week, they offered to settle, and we settled not at 52 cents as they asked, but at 1 cent to 1.5 cents. And having settled that, then I asked myself, do I return to law practice or do I stay, at SIAS? No money, but we had to build it up. So I decided to stay on as CEO and build up SIAS by taking investor education as my first, job. And we advanced that objective island wide, doing financial planning and investment, education. We use fund managers, brokers, academics to join us, and we, took the mission to all parts of Singapore, north, south, east, west. Then we started looking at governance of companies and transparency of companies. Slowly, SIS started to get support not only from investors but also companies wanting to work with us, but
Yeah.
on the basis that we would be independent and we would check them if they themselves go wrong. But they wanted to join us to sponsor our investor education programs. So, with myself and my secretary today, we are 20 to 21 employees, and we have been around for 21 years. We have covered something like 225,000 citizens. We have
Yeah.
done over 4,000 programs, and we are marching on.
Yeah, absolutely, marching on. This is a great story. I think a great background before we get now into the topic. And I think if people want to learn more about it, we'll put your website address into the show notes as well, so people can do a follow up. And if they want to go to any of your events, they can sign up on your website. So let's take it to the topic then. Spotting investment scams, right? And I think obviously you started your work in the Asian financial crisis on the bond side, but I think you guys are also very much experts at what people are like exposed to even in today's world, right? The internet is readily available for people to do research. There's a lot of information out there, but also a lot of misinformation. So how about we start at some of the red flags that you see that are out there where that people fall for, right?
Right. Let me at the outset say that the victims are largely people who are emotional, who are greedy, and who, take up help offered without thinking, without asking questions.
Yeah.
Why? Because in a low interest environment, people are trying to get more money, returns, better returns on their investments. So when investment scam is derived and put to a victim who is greedy or emotional and does not want to think about whether it is true or not, he becomes an easy victim. So they usually the features of a investment scam would be guaranteed returns. They would offer very high return and low or no risk, which is impossible. As you know, every investment has got risk and various levels of risk according to the investment product, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
but these guys are told, you'll get 12%. We had, in fact, two gentlemen went to jail in profitable plots some not long ago. They are serving 8 years and 7 years imprisonment. Why? They derived a product and a chemical product, and then they say, okay, we'll give you 12% every 6 months. Now, where on earth can you earn that kind of returns, and yet hundreds of people bought that,
Yeah.
and
No,
and,
I
and
think people always, just from my experience as well, it's
sure.
like people always look for quick money, right?
Yes,
If like someone says, "Oh, look, I have, I made a couple trades, I made this much money. It's a bulletproof investment." This is always where people fall for it. Like even investing, it's hard earned, right? It's not
correct.
easy.
Not easy, and therefore guaranteed high return investment is a red flag. Firstly,
Yeah.
secondly, pressure tactics. Person selling such an investment would say, "I have only one or two lots left. You better make your decision quickly because a lot of phone calls are coming in." And this guy is at a lunch with his friends, and he's told, "Look, you got 8% or 10%. This you cannot get anywhere. Really? Yes, yes, yes. Better book. Okay, okay, book me in." That's a pressure tactic.
Yeah.
And then basically, these are usually unregulated investment opportunities. So they are complicated and they are unique opportunities. So the investor need to understand the investment and they must ask questions. And very often the red flags are not, questioned. The red flags are there and the opportunity is not questioned.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and I think you hit the nail on the head with all of those, right? And if you read the newspaper or you go online and search for this is usually what happens, right? And that's, I think, where also a good wisdom from Warren Buffett is only invest in what you know or what you understand, right? Because really do your research before you get into any of these things. So we saw some red flags. And we talked about one tactic, which is the pressure tactic, right? That they use. What are some other tactics that are commonly used in investment scams?
Well, it's a hard sell tactic and giving lofty promises. They actually promise the moon. And this guy who is very, soft in his head and very greedy, only looks at what is being offered. And he quickly pushes the product. And he says, take it or leave it. There are many others wanting this. And the poor chap falls for the hard sell. And they don't give you an opportunity to call back or follow up with the seller. The seller usually is based overseas,
Mm.
China or Europe or somewhere, or even Latin America. I got call from Latin America. So these guys will call, and you can't call them back. So and they pressure you into making a rush decision. And often give you complicated explanations or the use of highly complex terminology. They use bombastic language, Philip. They,
Yeah.
they, these poor guys, these simple-minded fellas. Wow, this one sounds very, very big, And he tells his friends, today I invested I sent money to this investment, and really, really, I don't understand, but it sounded really good. So, and then they show you emails or newsletters with unclear source, no way to find out or call back or check it. So, these
Yeah.
are some of the tactics they use to convince you because you are actually very, very innocent and very greedy. So they take advantage of you.
Yeah. They absolutely do. And so, yeah, like like you said, the highly complex things
Yeah,
are always a hard no for people to look out for. And then, of course, deal with where, if you're living in Singapore, you should probably look at someone that's, regulated by the MAS, right?
correct.
That's the first sign of safety. And anything that is coming from abroad is always, it's
Suspicious.
99% probably suspicious, right? Or like turns out to be a scam.
Yes.
So that's definitely one. So then, now that we kind of know the red flags to look out for, we kind of have a thought about the different tactics that they use, so we can take a look at. So how do we avoid scams? And is it
So,
even possible to avoid them completely?
yes, absolutely possible. First rule of the thumb is ignore unsolicited calls by phone, email, WhatsApp. Ignore the unsolicited calls. Never entertain someone wanting to sell you something on the phone or by emails because there are so many institutions in Singapore, financial institutions which offer financial products. You can be safe in the sense that you can always get back to them, you can question them, You can, in fact, things go wrong. You can hold them responsible, but overseas calls and unsolicited calls should be avoided. Never give your personal details. Never. You know, your credentials are very important, and your information, your personal information, must be, like your gospel truth. It should never be revealed to others. And ask many questions as you can. You're right. First of all, how are the profits generated? You're offering me 12%. How
Yeah.
do you get, what sort of business is this you're invested in that I am going to get this much? How long must I stay invested? What
Very, very
happens?
typical for, especially if they want to put you into some long-term
Yes,
locked up thing, right? Really
correct.
honest.
Yeah. And what happens if I want to withdraw my money? I'll give you an example. I went to a local bank, and RM there was telling me and my wife and I went there with a little bit of money for fixed deposit. Guaranteed 3%, ma'am. Don't worry. Then went on. My wife was nearly filling up the forms. I said, hang on a minute. What if I want to withdraw the money? How much will you deduct? Oh, very little. Very little. Please tell me more. 10%. Finally, after,
Yeah.
pricing him. So we have to also verify credentials. We have to check the management team information. Who are the managers? Where, show me who are they. Company information. Address of the company, business registration number, and track record of the company. You will have to go to ACRA, ACRA or MAS website to check this.
Yeah, we can put those links in the show notes as well. That's great. Yeah.
Yes. Adopt a mindset. There's no such thing as easy money.
Yes,
Money.
you're telling the preacher. That's what I always tell friends,
Yeah,
family, clients. If
yeah.
it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true.
If it's too good to be true, it's probably true. And then check online reviews. I mean, be a little bit more, cleverer. Just check the online review. What are people saying? Don't follow the crowd. The herd mentality is often the problem. In my
Yeah.
21 years at SIAS, the herd mentality and losing money because my friend invested and
Yeah.
I think we're making. Ask for documentation if possible. All right.
Yeah.
But they
Do you
don't do
do you think that do you think it's investment scams over the last, let's say, like 3 to 5 years have increased or have decreased because of the internet being more transparent?
that.
What is kind of like your guys'
Yeah,
view on this?
investment scams actually have increased, especially from China.
Okay.
Uh, the offerers, the people offering investment scams. Uh,
Okay.
I think it is up. Last year, it was 52 million we lost, and it's up by, I think it's quite a bit actually, quite a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah,
Okay, no, it was just interesting to hear. Yeah, I was just
yeah,
wondering if like people have, because the internet, also makes a level playing field where people can do more research. But then, like you said, the mindset, like the follow the crowd mindset. Hey, my friend did it, and he makes a lot of money on it. I want to do it. Right? It's easy. It's
yeah.
it's too
Philip, in
it's too enticing.
2019, there were 508 uh, investment scams. That is 161 more. That's the latest figures from the police, right?
Yeah.
And that's about, they lost in 2019 36 point, it amounted to 36.9 million.
Wow.
Whereas it was minus, that is minus, and then largest sum cheated was 5.3 million.
Phew, that's a lot. And that's just the ones that got reported, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
how
This
many
from the
do?
police. Huh?
Yeah,
This from
yeah, yeah.
people are even today as we are speaking, somebody is being scammed.
Yes, 100%. One
So
hundred percent.
you know,
So
my
what can you do then to protect yourself?
so we basically have to tell ourselves we should not act on an unsolicited offer to buy any investment product, even if your relative comes to you to sell the investment. All right,
Yeah.
don't buy it because they've been scammed. They don't know. They think they're going to get the money soon, but they come and tell you, hey, I'm going to get 10%, but the money is gone. Keep
Yes.
your financial information to yourself. Never share account numbers, bank account numbers, usernames, logins, passwords, or personal identification numbers. Never. So always keep your assets, money with a reputable firm.
And how would you say if someone can see if it's a reputable firm? One is obviously the MAS, that they're,
Yeah,
licensed with the
correct.
MAS. Is there anything else that you
Correct.
would
The
say?
other thing is check out the firm. I mean, if they
Yeah.
say this ABC firm, look it up immediately and see whether or not it's on and whether what are they offering. I
Yeah.
mean, tell me if somebody. I mean, Philip, if somebody rings you and said, "I'm from DBS," you will listen and then say, "Hang on a minute, let me check your name out on the DBS or
Yeah.
let me call DBS." Right?
Yeah.
Never invest in a product you don't understand at all. If you don't understand, walk away. Put down the phone. All right?
Yeah.
Don't continue to talk. Verify what you're told with a trusted advisor or friend. Go to an investment advisor or come to SIAS. We are a charity and we are free. We don't charge a fee. Go to, if it is a product other than investment, you can go to CASE. But if it's an investment product, if you want help, we are here to help. I mean, the mantra is this: ask, check, confirm.
Yeah.
Ask, check, confirm. I mean,
I think that's a great mantra, right? And I think I always tell people as well, it's like you should be your own personal CFO. It's your hard-earned money,
yes,
and you should always buy an investment. You never should be sold an investment product, right? You need to do the
correct.
research. You go and buy it yourself with the
Yes,
research done, right?
yes. It really is a heartache, and I've seen the tears during club time, and even now, at the high
Yeah.
flood, I've seen the tears and heartaches of people who have invested without knowing the company, without knowing the investment product, all because they want to earn more. The greed factor it's really, really very dominant,
Yeah.
in the investment decision. And the emotional factor, if I don't do it, I will lose it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then, so we've done what
Yes,
people can do to protect themselves, right? So we
yes,
talked about some of the resources already, but maybe we're like,
yes.
other than the company's credentials, what can you do?
So go to the financial institutions directory, a list of entities regulated by MAS. So go to the website of MAS. You can look at financial institutions directory. There is this company, financial institution listed there. You can also look at the register of representatives, which is a list of individuals who conduct activities regulated by MAS, also on the website, MAS website, register of representatives. So if
Yeah.
you say I'm a representative of this bank or this financial institution or this insurance company, you can get him on the MAS. Investor alert list. This is a very important one. A non-exhaustive list of entities unregulated by MAS who may have been wrongly perceived as being licensed or authorized by MAS. So these are some of the avenues open to you to check
Yeah. No,
the
absolutely. And
credentials.
they're all great ones for people to do
Yes,
before they start investing.
correct.
So absolutely do those before you start investing. And then, so let's say though, unfortunately, I did get scammed.
Yes,
A lot of people are probably, someone will be too ashamed to say anything, right?
yes,
Especially in front of their family and friends. And I, like you said, you've seen tears before in your office. I can only imagine, right? If someone saved up for their grandkids' school or something and got scammed and now has nothing to show for, it's heart aching and heartbreaking, right? So
yes,
what can you do once you have been targeted? Is there any chance to recoup it, or at least like make these people, take
yes.
ownership of what they did?
Okay, if it is a realization that occurred immediately at the time of the investment, and if you can call your financial institution, your bank to stop the transaction, it'll be good. But if it's an overseas transaction, you have already money gone, goodbye, you can't do anything. But what you can do is immediately call the police. They have an anti-scam center, Philip.
Ah, okay.
And yes, they're 800-762-6688. You can call the anti-scam center. They have recovered fair bit of money from some of the scams,
Mm-hmm.
with respect to some of the scams. Of course, once money goes out, you can't get it back often.
Yeah.
So please, my advice to your listeners is become smart and don't be silly.
No, that's great advice. That's great advice. And before I let you go, David, I
Yes,
wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
sure.
And one is, what was the best investment you've ever done? If you can share, it doesn't have to be a financial investment either. So
No.
we always get a lot of interesting answers from people, from
Yeah.
paying their parents' mortgage or whatever, to investing in gold, when always buying gold jewelry with every paycheck. But what was yours?
Yes. In 1968, I made an investment, and it has given me 45 years of returns. The dividends, very good dividends. I married a girl whom I met in 1968, and she gave me three boys, and they're all doing very well. And I said to myself, instead of wasting my money, I put it on my wife. But that's on the humor side. But really, my investment on properties. I'm a man who believes in brick and
Yeah,
mortar. I had never had investment knowledge those days. I have now, over the 21 years, picked up a fair bit, but I'm not an investment guru or an advisor, right?
yeah,
I always have investment advisors with me. So the simple thing I've learned is, if you don't have the time and if you do not have the skills, let somebody else who has the skills and time to do it for you.
yeah,
And I have therefore never, I've rarely invested, and I don't have the stomach for it, Philip,
yeah,
honestly. So I tell my members, if you don't have the stomach for it, if you don't have the time, if you don't have the knowledge, don't invest. So
yeah,
I tell them. And also, Philip, I gave up practice in 1999. I gave up practice. I could have today retired very rich, but I decided to do SIS, and which
hmm,
was a voluntary thing. And later, after a while, as a CEO, I got some sufficient remuneration, but
yeah,
I didn't think that it was necessary because I was already 55, and my wife was, a teacher, and all I needed was a bowl of rice, right?
yeah,
Kanji, and then my three boys all graduated now, and I've got six grandchildren. So this is not the time for me to invest, but my best investment has been my family, and basically, I think the house that we bought for matrimonial home that we bought for 98,000 in 1988, just in sorry 1978 December, because 73 December, 74 February I got married. There was my matrimonial home in Sambawang Hills Estate.
yeah,
19,000. I sold it for 450,000 in 1988 and went to Melbourne, and then there I bought a house for 200,000, and
yeah.
today I think today is about 1.4, 1.5
Oh
million.
wow, yeah. See, good investments.
So where do you get that in stock or any other
Correct.
financial product? But then I invested in another property. My son was occupying. He went to upgrade, so I bought that in Melbourne as well for 800,000. My wife and I, all our savings and our investment in properties have given good returns.
Oh, this is awesome. No, really cool story. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then the last bit is
Yeah,
for our listeners.
yeah.
Um, is there any book that you would recommend for people to read? Something maybe personal finance related, or something that you got out of it that they would, can take away from today and have a little bit of a read.
Okay, there are plenty of books. I think I'm a great believer in value investing, and therefore Warren Buffett and his
Yep.
Benjamin, his boss, the man from whom Graham Benjamin, from whom Warren Buffett actually learned, would
Yep.
be the starting point for any investor who wants to invest. The word invest means you are considering long-term investing, not trading. I don't know anything about trading,
Yep.
but so I would say Graham Benjamin, and then Warren Buffett.
Yeah, absolutely. No, both very good books. I've read both of them and love them as well. And I think, like you said, this is, if you're investing, don't try to trade if it's not your
Yes,
full-time job. Do it more.
yes,
It's for the long term, right? If you're searching
correct.
for retirement, you don't need to buy and sell every day.
Yes, I always tell my members there was a lady who in 1939 who was a janitor whose boss was an investment guru, and she told her, look, I'm going to put 1,000 American dollars, and then after 30 years, she withdrew 1 million.
Yep.
But 30
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
But people now say, oh, it's a volatile market. Things are changed. You can't be long term. You got to be short term. I said, you are talking rubbish because you got to look at
Yes.
fundamentals and you got to look at, okay, long term may not be 30 years, but uh, there's one book that we publish, SIAS, Three Dimensions of Successful Investing. You can go into our website, SIAS website, which actually explains investment principles, and the investment products are explained, pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages, and when to invest and how to invest, and all the products are explained. Also on our website, Philip, there are hundreds of videos, over
Yep.
100 videos on or that we did with MAS, Money Sense, and ABS, Association of Banks, and Money Sense, and they gurus actually come on our platform and explain every investment product and
No,
every.
I tell everyone this is a great way to get to know more about this, right? So yeah, we'll definitely put the links on those for the videos and everything. So because I think people will have a lot more questions and interests. So I think this is a great first start for them to learn more about this topic. But
And
yeah,
and Philip, for your listeners, we are a charity. We don't charge most of the time, unless we have to pay the lecturer, and we charge a small amount, very small amount. But we're going to have free sessions every Friday, I think, once a week, every Monday. It's about review of the market. They can ask questions 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. On our website. We have a former head of it's a live on for
yeah,
Facebook.
okay,
Then we will also do Ask SIAS that will be happening, say monthly. They can come to SIAS and ask about their own investments. Why is my investment going wrong? What happened?
yeah,
Can you give us some advice? And we have former head of CIMB research who is with us now, Benjamin Go, and we've got another research associate, Fang Boon, from Mercer. And we have Richard Dyson, who is our general manager, who was in SGX and who has been doing investments for a long time. He is my GM. So they will take questions and they will discuss what possibly could have gone wrong.
oh, those are
And then,
great resources.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then we also are going to do portfolio, tracking of portfolio, SIAS portfolio. So basically, we're not saying you must do what we are doing. Just watch whether we are right or wrong. Learn from us.
Exactly. No, I think it's just a great resource for people. It's like you said, it's not profit, right? Go check this out, listeners. I highly encourage everyone to do that. Do some research, and I'm sure, just like myself, we all learned something today from David. So thank you again for your time. We really, really appreciate it. There's a wealth of knowledge there on the line today. So appreciate that, and hope you have a great day. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you in person soon again.
Yes, if I may say, your listeners can log on to sis.org.sg.
Yeah, and we put all these links in the show notes for them too as well. So that's great. Thank you so much, David. That's it for the show this week. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, subscribe and leave us a review. The reviews really help us, and we love reading your comments as well. In Your Best Interest is hosted by me, Philip Müller. We're produced by StashAway, and we're mixed by Mo Ramley. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified whenever we have new content out for you. Also, don't forget to download the StashAway app. It's available in the Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. So you can start on your financial journey right now.